Hello. Oblivion is a game about fighting mass immigration, and on Master difficulty, you must become absurdly powerful to stand any chance of victory. There are many ways to accomplish this, but I wanted the strongest one, so I sent myself into exile, deep within the Tibetan mountains, and after several weeks of meditating, it hit me. You see, I had always avoided some of the glitches you can do in Oblivion, because I didn't want to become too powerful and have the game become boring. So I decided to free myself from these restraints, and get ready to chug the jug, as we make the ultimate mage build in Oblivion. Our journey begins with me not choosing a Breton for once and picking a red guard. The reasons for this will reveal themselves very soon. Soon after, the Emperor enters my cell and gives me a presidential pardon, allowing me to run free. I've spent a substantial amount of my limited time on this earth wading through the tutorial of this game on Master difficulty, so I opt for a new strategy and run through everything. And for my birth sign, I take the Apprentice to fully maximize my magicka. And now, we can start to get weird. After clearing the next room of assassins, I activate my adrenaline rush ability and drain my stamina to 0. When it runs out, my stamina drops into the negative and I collapse from exhaustion. At this point, I spam the scroll wheel. This breaks the camera and allows my character to temporarily experience the difference between being 5'11" and 6 feet tall. Using this detached camera, I can peek through the wall and shoot the would-be assassin. This leads him over to this door.
You're talking to me, and I don't like you. Goodbye.
If you reverse pickpocket a lockpick onto him, he can open the door for you. The timing on this can be kind of hard, almost as hard as getting all of your personal data off of the internet. Anyway, to beat the assassin, you just have an average Master difficulty fight where I shoot him with about 80 arrows until he goes down. The game really doesn't expect you to do this, so it just kind of breaks.
The Blades are sworn to protect the Emperor. Now he and all his heirs are dead. Where's the Amulet of Kings? It wasn't on the Emperor's body.
For my class, standard mage slop, take every magic skill there is. Then run through the sewers, say hi to the sewer rat of course, and before leaving the sewer, I Michael Jackson myself into a high elf to further maximize my magicka. Then I leave the sewers, and we can begin. My first stop is the Temple District in the Imperial City. The detached camera allows me to look through this door and interact with this secret door. This takes you to an instance where the main quest is at the very end.
Farewell. You've been a good friend in the short time that I've known you.
And the ending cutscene plays. But I haven't done the quests, so I don't know who these people are. I delivered the amulet to Joffrey like I was supposed to.
You brought me the Amulet of Kings? This cannot be.
And leave. So at this point, I made this character around 10 minutes ago, and with the main quest already completed, I feel ready to chase some endgame items. Over in Vin Dazel, one of the strongest enemies in the game is showcasing the revolutionary Radiant AI system. However, this quickly became a bit of a David and Goliath situation. That is, if David ran around for about 20 minutes attempting to kill Goliath with poison gas and dropping him onto spikes repeatedly. Umbra, the sword, not the guy, is one of the best weapons in the whole game. You can tell because this rusty bow from the tutorial does 2 damage, and Umbra does 3 damage. And around now, I realize that I actually have to do something in this video, so how about we do the DLC? This leads me to Breville, where a guard tells me about the worst 5 minutes of his life.
Everyone's talking about the great victory over Mehrunes Dagon. I can hardly believe that the great Oblivion crisis is over.
So I swim over to this island and step inside the portal. This transition never gets old, but one of the first obstacles in the DLC is the Gatekeeper. This is the strongest enemy in the entire game, and as it turns out, a level 1 character can't do much to him. So I need to head away for a while and hone my skills. Like any Oblivion playthrough, I need money to make custom spells to farm levels. There's plenty of ways to do this, but today we're going to use the new dupe glitch. To do this, simply get a large stack of anything you want and attempt to drag it over to a container. Click continue, and if you do it right, the stack of items should remain in your inventory. Then click whatever item you want duped, and a stack of equal size will be deposited into the container. Using this, I sell potions to get to about 100,000 gold in a few minutes. I buy a couple items from merchants to boost my magicka, and a house to store all my stuff. Then I grab the Mage tallow candles that let you make custom spells from Oralenwe, who presumably lost her legs in the invasion. Thank you for your service. All that's left to do to farm levels is self-immolate on this rooftop, mix a couple hundred bottles of tobacco with duped ingredients, and a bunch of other spells. After a while I get to level 24, and I level my intelligence and willpower to the max because they're the only ones that really matter. So with all my skills ready, it's time to return to the Gatekeeper. At this level, he has 800 health, 58 damage a hit with a potential knockdown, and he regenerates 20 HP per second. There is a quest you can do to make him weaker, but it's not that type of video. So with the classic weakness to magic spell stacking that you've seen on this channel before, I can one-shot him without doing that quest at all.
Stay away!
With him dead, I have a decision to make. Mania or Dementia? Mania is a golden land of bliss, protected from evil by golden saints, whereas Dementia is a dark, dead hellscape ruled over by dark seducers. Upon learning this, I instantly choose Dementia. I'm only human. Soon, I meet up with Sheogorath, who's wearing his purple outfit. I prefer the multicolored Skyrim outfit, where you can see the fusion of Mania and Dementia in one iconic look. Sheogorath tells me about the Grey March, a force coming to wipe out his realm, headed by my phonetic cousin, Jigalag.
The Grey March is coming, and you're going to stop it. You're going to Xedilian.
So I make my way over to Xedilian and take a look around. But in here, killing enemies was slow, I died far too quickly, and for some reason this guy was completely invincible. So I thought now, halfway through the first quest, it was time to increase my power levels and actually get some equipment. The best place to farm gear was over here at this hatch. Reload your game to reset the chests inside until you get what you want. But the people at Virtuous saw people having too much fun reloading here for hours on end to get a slightly better pair of shoes and added a wall to the mix. It's still not bad for farming, but I have a plan B. North of Breville, there's a place called Robbers Glen Cave. Same concept. Save outside, open some chests, load back if you don't get what you want. I do have to pick this lock every time, but with 500 duped lockpicks, I can just spam auto attempt. Once I find something I want to keep, I can take it and wait 3 days in a town to reset the cave, and then come back and start over. At around the 40-minute mark, the only good item I found was the Ring of Perfection, and I realized that I pretty much only want my max magicka increased, so I grab a few legitimately obtained Grand Soul Gems, and enchant an item in each slot to fortify my magicka. And with this stylish outfit on, I get to 640 max magicka. I also duped some Welkin Stones so that I never run out. For spells, the only one I add is a paralysis spell, because much like most games, this game would be really easy if your stupid opponent wasn't always doing something. I also made a Paralyze on Self spell. This is because I made it quickly without reading. With that, it's time to return to the ruins, and with my new setup, things go pretty well. This guy still ignores 90% of my spells for some reason, but I got all the time in the world. I push through to the end and activate the resonator like I was told to. Turns out this area is a dungeon designed to trap adventurers.
Xedilian is the ultimate test of mettle for the foolhardy adventurer that dares trespass into the Shivering Isles.
I have a manual explaining how it all works, but I'm not reading all that. The 3 adventurers enter: a warrior, a mage, and a ranger, cursed with terrible audio.
This is one of the horrid guardians of which the stories spoke?
The ranger goes insane.
It makes no sense. Should be dead. But what? No.
The mage goes insane searching for his old Bitcoin wallet.
Rich beyond all my dreams.
And the warrior falls for the classic use powerful magic to convince them they're already dead prank.
Impossible. This is impossible. Grimacus never lost a fight. Never!
What did I gain from this? Absolutely nothing. But on the way out, I get attacked by Knights of Order, Grey March warriors fighting for Jigalag. I also get the power to summon Haskill,
When summoned, I can offer advice on your current endeavor.
which is great because sometimes I do find myself in a situation. Sheogorath tells me to speak with the Duke of Mania and the Duchess of Dementia, but I died several times in those ruins, so before I move on, I want to work on my defenses a little. With my paralysis spell and high speed stat, it's pretty easy to avoid melee damage. so I need to work on my magic defense. Due to being a high elf and taking the apprentice sign, I already take 4 times damage from spells. Couple that with the 6 times difficulty modifier from this stupid difficulty, and I'm taking 24 times damage from spells at the moment. Getting my resistances 200% higher is pretty hard, so I need to go another way, and for that I need to go to Kvatch. Despite the main quest already being concluded, the gate at Kvatch is still open. I've run through the gate pretty easily, and when I reach the sigil stone, I reset until I get one with spell absorption. Before using it, I do a couple runs of Robbers Glen Cave to try get either the Sorcerer's Ring, Spell Drinker Amulet, or the Amulet of Absorption. Any of these would let me get to 100% absorption with 1 fewer item slot. After around 30 minutes, I find an Amulet of Absorption. I also find a few other items that will be useful later, but I'm not going to tell you about them yet. Then I remembered that Errol's Mysteries in the Crucible sells high-level jewelry, and I had just wasted all that time because he is selling the ring on the first try. With that done, I'm ready to dupe some sigil stones and make my 100% spell absorption build, because weakness to magic doesn't actually matter if you have 100% spell absorption. However, it won't be relevant quite yet, because for the next quest, the Duchess wants me to find conspirators attempting to kill her.
You're going to learn who keeps secrets, who conspires against me.
To get this info, do I sneak around the town looking for clues? Maybe ask the god in the next room over? No. To find out who's conspiring, you torture random townsfolk until one of them tells you something. You're probably supposed to ask around a bit, but I really thought this guy knew something. That night, I overhear exactly why they want to kill Syl in the first place.
He uses the N-word all the time. That's a no-no. You're not supposed to do that. He uses it on a daily basis.
I discover one of the conspirators was this woman, whose name is really close to urine. So we deal with this in the most humane way we possibly can, and torture her to death. So with that little ticket taken care of, I head over to the Duke of Mania, who asks me to retrieve the Chalice of Reversal from Dunrood Barrow.
I have no wish to retrieve it myself, but fetching it might do you some good.
However, to enter, I need to ingest this delicious green ooze. The bugs inside are too stupid to see that I absorb all of their offense, allowing me to completely annihilate their entire nest. At the end, there's a couple green ooze enjoyers, and although drug addiction probably on average increases your hand-to-hand combat prowess, they go down pretty easily to a couple fireballs.
Ouch!
This allows me to retrieve the chalice and return it.
I'll just take that back from you. And as a token of my gratitude, I grant you the role of Courtier of Mania with all of its entitlements, which is to say, none.
One cool thing you can do is use telekinesis on paralyzed enemies. This has pretty much no practical use, but while I was trying to drown this guy with it, you might notice something. When I cast telekinesis, my magic bar fills up. This is because I'm technically casting an effect on myself and absorbing it. Because I'm a master of mysticism, the spell cost is lower, so I gain 5 times the cost of the spell. Knowing this, I can make a telekinesis, weakness to magic, paralyze, and fire damage spell that I can cast infinitely. I still of course make 2 identical ones so I can stack the weakness. With this, I feel ready for the battle. So I head on over to Sylarn. Here, I once again need to choose between the Golden Saints and the Dark Seducers over who will relight the Flame of Agnon. Relighting the flame begins the ritual of accession, which is an important step to becoming Sheogorath's champion, and I once again succumb to my vices. The battle inside is absolute peak gaming. This many moving characters would have turned your computer into a supernova in 2006. With the battle done, we can relight the flames.
You understand nothing, mortal. Stand aside.
And back at New Sheoth, I need to choose between relighting the Flame of Mania or the Flame of Dementia. I chose the Flame of Dementia. I don't remember why.
Please clap.
Mirroring the politics of old before all this voting nonsense came about, in order to become the Duke of Dementia, I need to attain the heart of the current Duke of Dementia, meaning I need to work on an assassination plot, so I go to her assistance.
How do I know I can trust you won't become just as tyrannical as she has? Well, every little bit. See? Yes. I see you may have what it takes to replace her.
He gives me the key to the palace, and I can start taking out guards on the way to the Duchess, who's presumably locked themselves away in their panic room. Once I get to her bedroom, she's already dead, but her assistant tells me that this was just a decoy.
The body on the bed isn't Syl, but merely an impersonator.
So I go into the basement to find the real one. I just need to be wary of traps. I fight through a couple more waves of guards, and eventually find Sil hiding out in her bunker. This is probably how it felt to take down Bin Laden, except instead of a hard drive with ants, Chicken Little, and this picture of AVGN and the Nostalgia Critic for some reason, I just take her hard and move on. But that quest was kind of a disaster. I had to avoid enemies to not die, and I even got Swiss cheesed by an archer. It's clear that I need to work on my defense. The problem is that pretty much all of my gear slots are already taken. In walks the enchantment duplication glitch. To do this, you duplicate an item with the enchantment you want, equip one of the stacks of enchanted items, then drag your stack of items you're using to duplicate into the container to bring up this menu. Then place the stack of the unequipped duplicate items into the container. This will also take the equipped item. If you do it right, you should still have the equipped item visible on your character, but it won't be in your inventory. Save and reload, and it will disappear, but you will still have the enchantment effect active. Re-equipping the item again doesn't stack on top of the old one, so it's a once per item type thing. You got all that? While I was doing this, I made a mistake that even looking back at the footage I can't identify, and I ended up accidentally equipping over 600 copies of the Sorcerer's Ring. They did not stack. The secret items from earlier that I got from Robert's Glen Cave are equipped now, and that's the Amulet of Axes, Ring of Swords, and the Ring of the Iron Fist to reach 99% damage reflection while maintaining 100% spell absorption. I wanted to leave it at 99% because I thought things might get too easy if I got to 100. It's the same reason Achilles didn't just dip his ankle back in the river. Returning to Sheogorath, he tells me that the Grey March have gathered forces in the Fringe, and because somebody killed the Gatekeeper, I need to go deal with them. So let's see how combat goes now. And yeah, this is peak gameplay. I defeat the initial wave of knights, and then I move into their base and start killing their dudes. Nothing at this point can really stop me, except for the team of Rocks and Gravity, one of the most universally powerful teams in video games. I kill all of the knights and stop the attack, and I'm told to return to Sheogorath for our next step. But I have a few issues with this build that I want to deal with first. I only stacked a couple of amulets earlier. Why not stack a ton of other stuff too? I enchant and dupe all of my old magicka boosting gear, and do a couple more runs through Robert's Glen Cave, grabbing anything that seemed useful. I even bought some of the overpriced, useless uniques from the market district. Who buys this stuff? So I spend a while duping all of the stuff here, until my active effects tab looks like a Path of Exile build. I then leave all this duped gear in my unlocked house. I calculated the chest's content to be worth around 193 billion gold. If that number sounds high to you, it's because I made it up. Sheogorath then gives me my next quest.
You will seek the assistance of Relmina Vernon in Zalselm to rebuild the Gatekeeper.
On the way to the Gatekeeper builder place, I can really feel the increased speed, acrobatics, and of course, the disease resist. I just need to clear out a ruin full of flesh atronachs to reach them. Flesh atronachs have a chance to reflect spell. To my knowledge, there's nothing I can do against that. This, however, does introduce our nation's favorite pastime to the mix: gambling. Every time I shoot a spell at a flesh atronach, there's about a 30% chance of me being vaporized. I could use melee to take them out, but that's slow and involves no gambling whatsoever, so why bother? After reaching the builder, she tells me what I need to get.
Go fetch me blood liqueur, osseous marrow, dermis membrane, and essence of breath.
I just want a couple new spells before I go there. With all the new magicka I got, my damage spell isn't even using half of my magicka anymore, so I have room to upgrade a little. I currently have 701 magicka, so my perfect spell should use 355 magicka, which looks something like this, of course making 2 of them to stack the effects. I also make a movement speed spell. Your movement speed is impacted by what percentage of your inventory is taken up, so fortifying strength increases that and makes you faster. It's also more magicka efficient than using feather. Spell reflection is still a problem, but if it procs before the spell stacks too high, I just microdose being dead for a second. I grab all 4 pieces required of the new Gatekeeper, but on the way out, the world just stops existing. You know what this really is? This is my world without all of my subscribers. I had to console command my way out of there. Then I returned to the Flesh Lady, only to be asked to play God and stitch together grotesque limbs to build something that barely qualifies as alive and whose every second of existence is pain.
I'm in tremendous pain! I'm in tremendous pain!
Then, when that's done, I drop my abomination into the Terraria shimmer and watch him bludgeon a couple guys to death. When I return to Sheogorath, he does an impression of Bethesda fans whenever anything new releases.
It's new, and I like new, even if it's bad. And this is bad, isn't it?
He then tells me what's gonna happen next.
The Grey March starts, order appears, and I become Jiggalag and wipe out my whole realm!
So to stop that, I need to push this build one final step further. In order to get stronger, the only real way forward is to increase my max magicka. Remember, I can't enchantment stack duplicates of the same item, but what I can do is run through Robber's Glen Cave until I get a copy of every piece of intelligence and magicka boosting gear in the game. This will leave me with a grand total of, I don't know. I'm not doing that. The real workaround is to duplicate a ton of Grand Soul Gems. Duplicate items are not allowed, but there's nothing stopping you from enchanting hundreds of pairs of shoes with different names to make them count as unique items. I enchant these for about 20 minutes, and then the real grind can begin. So I pop open a bottle of wine, take my clothes off, put on my American Dad playlist, and get to work. The Grand Soul Gem only enchants for 24 extra magicka. Sigil Stones do 50, but that would require me to have foresight and get more before the main quest ended. Telekinesis refunds you for 5 times the amount of magicka you spent casting it when you have master level mysticism. The highest level telekinesis spell you can cast costs 640 magicka, so multiply that by 5 and you get 3,200, meaning that the limit for this is when you have 6,400 magicka. If for some reason you require more magicka than this, then your goals are beyond my comprehension. For me, I only need around 2,000 to cast my spell of choice, so I start duping shoes to get to 4,000. I was going to number them to keep track and make sure no items had duplicate names, but it got annoying, so I just mashed the keyboard for names. Perhaps some of the Polish viewers in the audience will be kind enough to translate some. After a little over an hour, I reach 4,061 magicka. The DLC is about becoming a god, and this is about as close as you can get. The everything spell. Weakness to magic, weakness to fire, weakness to frost, weakness to shock, paralyze, restore 100 health, fortify speed, fortify strength, fortify acrobatics, fire damage, shock damage, frost damage, and of course, telekinesis. I can cast this infinitely, and it does everything I could ever need.
Our stronghold at Brellock is under attack. The forces of order broke in and routed us. You must go to Ismi at once and aid her.
For this quest, I need to save someone in a dungeon. I travel there with my new spell and completely destroy every enemy within. And every teammate as well, because the spell has a big area. Then I die when I Jumanji myself into the floor. I quickly get to the end and free who I came to free, but we're too late. The wellspring that keeps the golden people alive is blocked up, and they all hit me with the Andes coming, so it's up to me to unblock it. Nobody really has any way of stopping me at this point. I'm basically the apotheosis of mages at this point, so I unblock the well pretty easily. Returning to the palace, Sheogorath tells us it's over.
My plan has failed and we were so close!
But if we get the Staff of Sheogorath, then I may be able to ascend and become the god that I need to be. The only guy who can craft the staff for me lives in Knife Point Hollow, and he looks about 30 hours into a goon sesh, but he finds time in his schedule to tell me that I need 2 items to craft the staff, a magic branch and a magic eye. The magic branch is deep in a magic tree, and it is guarded by the only person on Earth strong enough to defeat me. Me. Except he's stupid and he tries to use melee, so I eviscerate him in 2 seconds. On to the next place. This place has groups of what I assume are powerful mages, but it doesn't matter at all. I also don't bother going through because I can just jump up here to the end. This spell really does do everything. The boss here also poses 0 issues for me and dies immediately. Returning to the goon cave, I grab the staff.
Now, take your treasure and leave me.
But the water I need to enchant it with in the throne room has been corrupted.
Who the fuck drinks this shit?
So I need to go down there and clear it out. Because I'm basically in creative mode at this point, I zoom down and kill the guy corrupting it really easily.
Strike me down!
With the staff made, all that's left is to fight the Grey March. Sadly, all of my allies group together and are destroyed along with the enemies, but shortly after, Jiggalag appears, a god incarnate here to destroy the entire world. This makes him strong enough to endure 4 spells.
This ends as it always does. Order shall reign.
And with that, my ascension to godhood is complete, and I've made the most broken character in all of Oblivion. Thank you to my channel members for making this channel possible, and I will see you in the next one.